Hello everybody, this is Abraham. What we have here today is how-to on replacing the bearings on the lawn tractor. This is Toro. It's about 9 years old, and bearings on it are making noise. They're still working, but they're making noise. There was another problem with this deck, so I thought let's rebuild the whole thing. Normally, you would go to the lawn repair facility or lawn equipment repair facility, and they will tell you that you need to replace this whole assembly here, which has two bearings, and the bearings cannot be pulled out. They can be. All you have to do is know how it's done. So number one, a small problem here is that I've done it all, and then I thought, well, maybe I should have recorded it. So I have the how-to, and if there is specific need, ask in the comments. First, you're going to need a block of wood. This is a 4x4. With this, you want to jam the knives, the cutting blades, and unscrew the nut that holds the cutting blades. Your situation may be different, but the idea is the same. You just loosen it. Don't completely untighten it. Just loosen it. Then turn the deck over. You may have to replace this block of wood. You do need a helper for this. To another location, and you untighten the nut that holds the pulley. On both sides of this rod, so to speak, are the nuts that hold blade and pulleys. So this one here, I've untightened the pulley. Here it is. And I've loosened up this nut. As you can see, I can just remove it. Remove the blade, and then what I did, turning this upside down, I've used this high weight, low damage mallet. It's made out of lead. It's very heavy, but when you smack something with it, it does not damage anything about the the threads or whatnot. As you can see, I've done some serious work with it. So I yanked it from the other side, the top side, and just released this rod that holds the pulley and the knives. In this position, there are two choices you have. Normally, it's the bottom bearing. This one here, that would be bad. As you can see, it's fairly covered with rust. This is the one that makes noise. You can hear it. This has been replaced. You can hear how smooth they are. Here are the bearings that were in those two pulleys. This is the last one that I need to replace. I did not think of buying 3 of them. I thought only 2 were bad. But this one makes a very different kind of noise. One of this, let's see. Yeah, you gotta feel it. It just catches on something. Well, at any rate, once you pull this out, as you can see, I already pulled the bearing out. There is 2 ways that you can basically yank the bearing out. You can take it to a professional and they'll remove it for you, or you can just do it yourself. On my particular tractor, inside of the assembly is this spacer, which basically sits between 2 bearings. From the upper side, the other side, we take a socket that fits right into the bearing. And you take a little screwdriver and you move that internal spacer just to a side so the socket doesn't want to go through. And you can actually pull both bearings this way. So if I want to pull right now the upper bearing, now this whole deck is upside down, so this is a lower bearing and the under is upper bearing. I could just, well, because I have this one pulled out, I could probably put something flat under so it doesn't fall through. What happens is as you yank it, the socket tends to fall through the spacer. But at any rate, you move the spacer, use a screwdriver or something, and then just smack with it. You don't even have to disassemble the deck. You'd pull both sides of the screws, the knife, the pulleys, and two bearings with the assembly sitting still in the deck. I will remove the assembly because I want to clean it up a little, paint it, and maybe grease it up. But in reality, I don't really have to do that. All right. So we got that. We got bearing removed. We got the spacer removed. You want to clean that up. As you can see, there is quite a bit of rust. Nothing horrible. Do you have to? No. But you do want to put grease in there that will displace water and basically grease up all the metal parts and not allow water to sit in there. To put the new bearing in, what you do is, so you set, imagine this is a new bearing, you set the old bearing on top of it, and now you have a good space to work on, and you can just smack the bearing, the old bearing, and that will seat the new bearing inside of its place. As I have said before, my videos are not for the novices. If you're going to be asking what size wrench I use or how big this or how, I am sorry. This is for somebody who needs an idea, who just wants to do things themselves, and they have done some work, handyman work, and they think, you know what, I think I can handle it. It's just I've never seen how it's done. Here it is. This is how it's done. This is what this thing consists of. There is another point that I want to make. Let me turn this upside down. As you can see, the deck is practically completely disassembled. There is quite a few pieces to this deck assembly, and it's not easy to put things back together. Number one, you take pictures before you take things apart. Take a lot of pictures from different angles. They will help you to put the deck back together. In anything for that matter. This is what saves me. I start working on any project that I need to take apart. I take pictures. They help me later. The other thing you can do is go to your local lawn equipment repair facility and just get a schematic from them of how this thing is assembled. On top of the fact that it'll show you what goes where, it won't show you which order to put it back together. It will also give you part numbers, and you can just call them up and say, here's the part number, do you have it? And then you don't have to make a special trip and carry the part in. Okay, let's see what else. Let me think for a moment. Now these lawn tractors are not cheap. I paid, I believe, $1,500, 9 years ago, and I was at the store. They're still expensive. This one is hydrostatic, so you just push the pedal and it goes forward and back. Practically everything about this tractor is okay, except mice love to make nests inside of the engine, so I have to periodically clean that up, but I already got used to it. And this deck, this is gonna be a third time that I am repairing it. Should I say that it's bad quality? No. I mean, I'm not really taking care of it all that much. I will paint it, it'll look quite good. But after I'm done mowing, I don't really do anything. I just go into and put it into its parking spot. The grass and whatnot that's what's causing this rust in here. So I'm not really upset over the quality of the deck. And you know, first time I did rebuild it was 5 years after the tractor was purchased, and second time maybe 7 years, and now 9 years. This is going to be a second time that I'm replacing bearings. First time I took the assemblies, these hub assemblies, to the repair facility. They wanted to sell me a new ones, and I told them, hey, I don't want to buy them. Can you just press fit the bearings in? Back then I didn't know I could do it myself, and back then I didn't know I only needed one. I don't remember if they replaced two of them or charged me for two of them, but looking at the bearings right now, they only replaced one, and I don't remember which one of these was replaced. I know one of them has been replaced. If your tractor is making a lot of noise, screeching noise, grinding noise, most likely it's your bearings. If you're idling and the belts are running under the tractor and they're making squeaky noise, bearings, definitely. My tractor, when I was rebuilding it, I believe first time, it was so noisy I had to use earmuffs to mow the lawn. It was just unreasonably noisy. Here is one thing that I am not completely happy about. These wheels, they have bearings, and these bearings cannot be press fit. The whole wheel is riveted, and the bearing sits inside. I have 3 of them. All of them are bad. Yeah, I kind of have to feel it. You can't hear the noise, but when the wheel rotates, I can feel the kind of grinding inside. So ideally, all these wheels would need to be replaced. I'm just not ready to get all these things replaced, but I might just get pricing on them. They're not cheap. The things that I had to replace in the past are these smaller pulleys. These things are located under the tractor, and these were the ones that were making horrible noise. I saved them because when I went to the dealer, they said they didn't have them, and I was stuck. So what we ended up doing is just trying to, hand match something that looks like that. So I found one, and then I went to a different dealer and we found another. These were not easy to find, and they're sitting under the tractor, and they are controlling the transmission. So there's 2 of them under the tractor. Let me see. In there somewhere there is another belt, and that's the belt that was making noise. I wanted to cover what actually caused us to disassemble this deck. This is the cause. The original design had this very fat screw holding a belt tensioner, and this thing seized inside of the moving part, so it didn't allow the belt tensioner to do its job. There were 2 belt tensioners on there, so the other one was working, but I didn't realize that. I knew this one stopped working long time ago. because that belt tensioner, it's that Y looking part right there, and the screw goes right through the fat part of it, and allows the belt to be tensioned with a spring. The new kit actually replaces the very fat screw with a skinny screw of a normal type and a spacer. I like this better because I can grease this up quite well, and we have two places where the whole thing will be moving. It'll be moving around, well, maybe not. Well, it'll have a chance or choice of moving inside and outside. So this can work like a bearing. We'll see how it goes. I didn't realize there were two of them on the deck. One seized up, and the other one is right here. So when I went to buy, and this one works fine. Inside of here is that other fat screw. I haven't taken it apart yet, but that's what's next on a to-do list. And there was another problem. The whole deck basically stopped rotating because the screw broke, the belt wasn't tensioning, it was rotating really, really badly. I just finished the lawn, I had just a tiny bit left to do, so I thought, to hell with it, I'm going to rebuild it anyway, whatever breaks, breaks. It was smoking. The belts were not working well. I had to, those belts weren't, they needed to be replaced anyway. So, here is the part. We had a hell of a time getting that fat screw out. It was not hot. As you can see, we had to heat it up and yanked it, beat on it. Eventually it came out. The thing that I wanted to mention was this pulley here. Something pushed on it, and the top, as you can see, it's not very straight. The top got furled in, and this pulley looked really bad. It really needed to be replaced, but we straightened it out. I think it's going back in, but I'm gonna check the prices before I do that. It looks okay now, but this was furled in, and it was basically grinding the belt. It was a lot of noise. This was pretty bad disaster. I would say most people, after something like that happening to the tractor, sparks flying and belt smoking and noise and not working, and 10 years old, 9 years old, you'd go buy a new one. Not me. I don't feel like spending, $2,000 on a new piece of equipment. This whole repair so far cost me 2 belts, 2 bearings, and a kit about $150. I'm sure I can go to the bearing shop and find this bearing cheaper. So they sold me these bearings for $25 a piece, which I think is too much, but given the fact that it's Saturday and they knew the size and all that, I'm okay with that. The belts, I believe they were like $30 a piece, and I think it's overpriced because you can get a timing belt for less. Well, at any rate, it is what it is. Hopefully this will last longer than 2 years, but I think $200 every 2 years, although I didn't spend $200 last time, it was less than that. I think it's fair. Tractor still works unless the engine explodes. I'm still gonna use it, and I'm towing trailer with it, and I'm doing lawn sweeping, and I'm doing what else? All kinds of hauling with it. I got a little small trailer hooked up to it, big trailer. Let me show you that. This is what I have. So I towed this thing with it, and I should probably do a video on this converter. This allows me to connect my tractor to the big trailer, and when I need to haul something along the yard or collect yard waste, put it in tractor, I don't need to use a big car. I just use a small tractor, lawn tractor for it, and then I just pull it out, hook it up to the car, and take it to wherever I need to go. Let me show you that again. This is a ready-made product. We bought it at Fleet Farm. Instead of this connector, it had a hand pulley on it. I mean, you can't pull a big trailer by hand unless it's empty. I thought, you know what? Let's connect a tractor to it. And it worked okay. This is about 9 years old, still holding. By the way, as you can see, the trailer is partially made by hand also. We bought the frame and built it up ourselves. Lots of work, but cheaper than the one that was ready-made. Okay, last part. If you like what you see, if you think this is gonna help you save a few bucks, I'll be honest with you, taking this deck, just the deck by itself, and I've done it, disconnect it from the tractor, take it to the repair facility, it'll cost you probably about $600 to get the bearings replaced, to get it greased up, fixed, and they will not paint it for you because they don't really care. It's your thing. If you want it to look brand new, you got to do it yourself. You can take the whole tractor in, and that'll probably cost you even more because then they have to take the deck off and they charge by the, I don't know how they charge, but probably gonna charge you an arm and a leg. What I want to say is I did take the knives to be sharpened at the repair facility, and when I looked at the work that they did, I was very disappointed. This is hardened steel. They used a Dremel to just run through the end of blades, and they really didn't even care if it was sharp afterwards. When I looked at the work that they did, I was honestly appalled. I thought they were gonna take the blades off. I thought because of how much they charged me. They charged me for taking the deck off, sharpening the knives, and I believe that's all they did. Maybe, I know. Oil change on a tractor and lubrication. Okay. That cost me about $150. They did deliver the tractor afterwards. But honestly, to replace the oil on this, here's a spout. You just put something under it, unscrew that screw, and the oil comes out. There's nothing to it. It's not like a car. And I believe on this side there's an oil filter right there. Replace the oil filter and replace the oil. It's not much that's needed to be done. But honestly, I turned it in because of the knives. That was the first time I worked with it, with the guys. I still work with them. I just control the spending, and I do the work myself. I don't mind it. So this time I paid about the same as what I paid first time, but for that I'm getting belts, bearings. I sharpened the knives, I just grind them on a grinder right here. Easy peasy. You got to be careful not to let the steel glow red hot. You kind of have to grind them cold. That's probably why they're using Dremel, but they weren't sharp. And last time we did it ourselves, sharpened the knives, they cut the lawn like butter. I love it. It doesn't last long though, but still good. All right, if it helps you save some money, give me likes, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. My goal is to show you how to save money, be it computers, be it lawn tractors, cars, anything. Because if I saved $500 here, I could just take that money out of my account, tell my wife that I paid for it, and have fun on it. Probably won't. Kids will take that, but still. Then you don't have to work as hard at your job to do what you do, because now you have to earn $500 less. So I hope this helps somebody. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your day.